Some recent reports suggest that Dan Quinn will not be keeping Eric Bieniemy on his coaching staff with the Washington Commanders. Welcome into Saints Now at Chat Sports. My name is Girouard, and for today's video, I'm going to discuss whether or not I think the Saints should bring in Bienemy to be a part of the offensive coaching staff. And before we dive into that, I want to just give you an update on our February sub battle. We had a video go absolutely nuclear. We picked up over 50 subs on it. So shout out to all of you. We still got a lot of work to do to take down those scumbag dirty birds. So help me beat them in the walls of Chat Sports by hitting that sub button. It's 100% free. And if you hate it, you can just unsub. But I promise you, you'll stick around. So let's talk about it. Eric Bieniemy, could he be a fit for the offensive coaching staff in New Orleans? Now, here's what I'm going to say. They still have some spots that they're going to fill in. You can see right here on your screen. You might be saying, Trace, where would you fill in Eric Bieniemy? You have Klint, Kubiak. Well, let me say this. There's an asterisk right there because Kubiak can't technically be officially hired until after the Super Bowl. Makes sense. So that's why there's an asterisk there, but he is going to be the OC. Reports suggest nothing but that. You need a quarterbacks coach. You need a running back coach. You need a wide receiver coach. You see, Ronald Curry's gone. Kevin Petry, he's your wide receiver assistant coach. Clancy Barone, tight ends coach. Jordan Taylor, tight end assistant coach. Jahri Evans, he's your offensive line assistant coach. But our offensive line coach also left. So what's going to be the role for Eric Bieniemy? But I want to talk about that quarterback coach role. Ronald Curry, for those guys who didn't know, he was offered the wide receivers job for the New Orleans Saints, but he chose to leave for the better opportunity in Buffalo. He is getting a promotion. He is getting a title bump, a raise. It's a good move for Ronald Curry. Would have loved to keep him around in New Orleans. He was very highly regarded in the locker room, but at the end of the day, business is business, and you can't help but appreciate and admire a person for going and making their jobs and their careers better. So best of luck to you, Ronald Curry. Good luck with Josh Allen and the Buffalo Bills. Also a reunion with Deontay Hardy up there, so pretty fun there. But let's talk about Eric Bieniemy because I think he could be the running back coach. What about that? Saints need a running back coach. Think it's a good fit. The offensive coordinator from Kansas City, he was there for 5 years, and that was a really good run for KC. They made 5 straight AFC championship appearances, 2 Super Bowl wins. Like I said, that bottom note, the Saints need a running back coach. But there's so much talk about he doesn't run the ball, he throws it, he airs it out. Well, here's the thing. He's a running back coach history. He has a history of it. I saw it in the live chat. I've seen it on social media. Eric Bieniemy just likes to throw the ball. Okay, whatever. He also has a history of being a running backs coach. And if he isn't going to be an offensive coordinator, and if he isn't going to have a major role in the NFL, a guy with the credentials and the experience that you see on your screen could be very, very beneficial as a running backs coach in New Orleans. And it is a homecoming as well. I mean, he's from the state of Louisiana. It would be cool to bring him home, and he's been linked to the Saints a handful of times. He interviewed with the team last offseason for 8+ hours, if I remember correctly, 6 to 8 hours. The Bieniemy could give the running back room a spark. And I think that that's what the running back room needed. They were just wildly average and wildly underperformed in some of these categories. And the rush play percentage, they were rushing the ball 42.8% of the time. That's about league average. That is literally league average. Could not be more. The yards per carry was second worst in the NFL. The rushes per game, 28.2. That was number 10 in the NFL. The rushing yards per game, 102. That's unbelievable. I'm old enough to remember when Alvin Kamara was rushing for 100 yards a game. I'm old enough to remember when Pierre Thomas or when Reggie Bush was doing it a game, 100 yards a game, no problem. But the Saints couldn't even do that as a team. They could barely do it as a team. And the touchdowns per game, you can't even find the end zone once per game. They need a spark. They need somebody to help that team out. So what say you, Saints fans? Would you hire Eric Bieniemy? I feel like I made a pretty good case to at least bring him in for an interview and talk to him again, see what he could do and see what he could offer. And coming up on today's video, I'm going to talk about Jameis Winston's future because he did speak about it. He joined the Pardon My Take podcast recently. And if you haven't checked it out, I encourage you to go listen to it. It's really entertaining. It's a lot of fun. The PMT guys have always wanted Jameis Winston to be on their show, and he's a very entertaining character, as you could assume. So I encourage you to go listen/watch it for yourself. But we're going to talk about what Jameis Winston said about his future. But before we dive into that, I want to give a big-time shout-out to Game Time for sponsoring today's video. I made so many memories in 2023 thanks to the Game Time app. But in 2024, it's your turn. Game Time is my go-to ticketing app for sporting events, concerts, and comedy shows. And this year, I'm looking to go see the Red Clay Strays and Zach Bryan. And to be honest, I want to travel to New Orleans for Jazz Fest. I've heard some really good things, and I'd love to check it out for myself. And you can do the same thing and not miss out on once-in-a-lifetime experiences if you download the Game Time app and use code SAINTSCHAT to get $20 off. Or if you plan on going to the big game out in Las Vegas, you know, the one between the 49ers and the Chiefs, you can get $100 off your ticket if you use code VEGAS100. I understand. $100 off your ticket for a seat that's going to cost you a pretty penny isn't much. But at the end of the day, think about it like this. That's $100 that you could take to the casino, you could take to a bar, you could take to a restaurant, you could bump your flight up to first class with that. Whatever you want to do, you can save some money. Either Vegas 100 to go to that big game out in Las Vegas or Saints Chat to get $20 off your first purchase. Shout out to Game Time. All this information is in the comment section and description of this video. Thank you, Game Time, for sponsoring today's show. All right, let's discuss Jameis Winston and what the future holds for the Saints quarterback to J-Bo. He spoke about it. He talked about what his future could look like heading into free agency. As we know, he is going to be a free agent, and I think that he's actually going to not be a high priority one, but I think that he could get signed relatively quickly. I mean, the teams are looking for a veteran backup quarterback, and teams are looking for good locker room presence, and that's what Jameis Winston provides. So let's just get right into it. Jameis saying the biggest thing, about my love for New Orleans is this is, I feel like, the first city that truly embraced me. Just who I am and what I stand for, how I move, and I think it's just the South. That's that Southern hospitality. I'm from Alabama. So I grew up watching Drew Brees. I grew up watching Aaron Brooks. The early years of the Saints and just saw how they grew. So when I was able to get thrown into this environment, I was just like, man, I just had so much gratitude to be here because I'm 5 hours from home. My wife, her dad's side of the family, is from New Orleans. So I instantly felt a connection with this city. And the way that they represent their guys, the way that they bring culture. And I just love how Jameis Winston was showing love to the city and to the fan base. And not just saying like, oh, they're passionate fans, oh, they're rowdy. Oh, no, you say New Orleans has a unique culture, and I got to fit in. And if you ask me, I think that New Orleans is Jameis Winston, and Jameis Winston is New Orleans. Both of them, very fun and very unique. Both very, very strong personalities and cultures. And both are very well liked among a lot of people, except for the Atlanta Falcons. That being said, no matter what happens with Jameis Winston, I want to just say this. He is a Saints legend in my eyes. And I think that he should be a Saints legend in your eyes too. He gave the New Orleans a lot of really good things. He gave them some bad, don't get me wrong. There was definitely some problems, but can we all just go back a few years and say what could have been had he not torn his ACL? Saints were 5-2, man. They were looking really, really good. Would have loved to see what could have happened. But at the end of the day, Winston was the successor to Brees. It makes saying goodbye kind of tough. But he's a legend in my eyes. So let's just get back to what his future holds. In terms of this offseason, I feel like I've played every role that a quarterback can play with the New Orleans Saints. I've been a starter. I've been a backup. I've been someone to help bring up some of the young bucks. I'm very intentional with everything that I do. So wherever I'm at, obviously, my main goal is to be the starting quarterback in this league. And when that opportunity presents itself, that will be what takes me away from any place. That's my dream. That's my goal. My dream and my passion is to win a Super Bowl, lead a team to the Super Bowl in any way, in any shape or form. Definitely able to do that do those things from a behind-the-scenes perspective. Could do that in New Orleans. But I think that I think just the hunger of a competitor wants to be out there in between those lines, having the opportunity and doing his best to lead his team to the promised land. Now, here's the thing. I don't blame Jameis. Like, I really don't. You want to go and pursue your dreams. You are passionate to be a starting quarterback in this league. You have every right to do so. You have earned and you deserve the ability to go and chase those dreams and make those things happen. But my question is he a starting quarterback in this league? Are there any teams that would sign him and to be their QB1? Like, I'm not saying that would sign him. My question, is Jameis a quarterback 1? Not is he a guy that could a team sign, and if their QB1 gets hurt, could he hold it over and make things work? Is he a QB1? And I want to ask you the question. Just give me a yes or no. I'm not necessarily sure that he is. I think that he has a lot of really good abilities. I think he has a lot of really good talents. But I don't know if he is a true QB1, or at least the league thinks of him that way. I think that they think of him as a background, locker room presence kind of guy, and just somebody who, if in a pinch, can go and get the job done. So in that regard, for those of you similar to me who want to keep Jameis in New Orleans, might be some good news if he's not a QB1 in this league. So just give me a yes or no in the comment section, and let's get back to the PFT the Pardon My Take podcast. PFT commenter asking Jameis Winston. He said, "We do this to every guest we have on here, blah, 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 blah." Just chopped it up, having some jokes. Said, "I got 4 random cities, and you tell me which one you like the best. Which one you could maybe see yourself living in. Seattle, Atlanta, Washington, D.C., Foxborough, Massachusetts." And then later on went on to say, in Denver, Jameis saying, "Oh, yeah, I was expecting to hear that one. I was waiting for that one." And Jameis said this, "Anyone that accepts me. But I'll just say this. Atlanta, I grew up an hour and a half from Atlanta. I'm from Birmingham. I think that would be a beautiful time for my family. The accessibility it has to my surrounding family, that would just be beautiful." Now, please, 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 football gods, do not send J-Bo to Atlanta. Just please. Please, anywhere but Atlanta or Tampa Bay or Carolina. That is all I am asking. Just none of those 3 teams. I want Jameis to be successful. I want him to go and have a exciting career wherever he wants to do it. But please just don't let it be Atlanta, because I don't want to have to root against this guy again. Winston left his mark in New Orleans, and he left his mark on me. And I wish him nothing but the best in the future. And I hope you guys are in the same boat with me. I understand some of y'all don't think he's the best player, don't want him to be the starting quarterback, but he is a fun guy to have around. He is a massively impactful player to have in the locker room. And at the end of the day, he is New Orleans. And he embodies the city so well. And I haven't seen a player do it as well as Jameis Winston in a really long time, outside of the obvious of Drew Brees. So I want you guys to take a guess for me. Where will J-Bo play in 2024? Do you think it's going to be New Orleans? Do you think it's going to be another team? I want you guys to let me know down in the comment section. And just to kind of round out the conversation, Jameis added this. He said, "I feel like I'm the attraction. I'm the thing. I'm the city that's going to bring, I'm the city that's going to bring joy, love, trust, peace, integrity to any location that I'm at. Because I'm a man of increase. So wherever it may be, that city is going to be getting someone that is ready. A kingdom man that is ready to grow everyone around him." And there is no doubt about it. Jameis Winston is the attraction. He said, I feel like I'm the attraction. That is a fact. And I love how he talks about himself. I love how he holds himself. I think that he is a one-of-one kind of player. 30 for 30 in terms of interceptions. The touchdowns that one season was crazy, but man, Jameis Winston is a really fun guy to have around, and I absolutely love him. But my prediction for it is I could see Jameis Winston returning. I really do think the Saints value him in the locker room. He's very well liked by the players. He also does serve a good role as a backup and as a, locker room presence kind of guy. And if they don't think Jake Haener is ready to be a QB2, or if he is a QB2, they can have more confidence with Jameis Winston. But I do think that teams like Pittsburgh or Denver make some sense. I also don't hate the Minnesota Vikings being a sneaky team if they don't end up drafting a quarterback early, or if they can't get Kirk Cousins back, or I could see them maybe wanting to bring in a guy like Jameis. So let's give some love to Jameis Winston. If you love Jabo, start eating some W's. Type "eat that W" down in the comment section. So I'll take a bite out of one together. And y'all stay golden. We'll see you next time.